Yay, I'm doing now. And I will put the video link up on the commercial webinar web page by the end of the week. So if you have to leave in mid-presentation, you'll be able to go back and review it again. So I think that is all you need to hear from me. I'm going to mute myself and turn my video camera off so I can, blow my nose in private, and hand this over to Emily. And I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks a lot. Take it away, Em.
All right. Well, thank you, Amy. Thank you to TAR. I'm really excited to be here with you virtually today. At any juncture, just make sure you let us know if the audio is wonky or if I'm speaking too fast. I am in California. It's a little earlier on the side of things here and on the West Coast. So you will note, for those that are looking at the camera, I will have a lot of this as I chat. So stay tuned. So here's the fun. We're going to talk a lot about some pretty cool data. As Amy mentioned, I oversee the commercial division for RPR. Before that, I was with the National Association of Realtors Commercial Division. And I'm really excited to say that I've been a part of this ride since it started, from concept to what you see today. We're never done working. The one area that I like to make sure that I point out, I will be a broken record. This is absolutely your Realtor benefit. So I work with the folks that build this here in Irvine, California. And we do not move on building anything, both on the residential side, on the commercial side, without your Realtor feedback. So I highly suggest, if you like something, let us know. If there's things you think we need to improve on, let us know. In fact, our product team is going through what our next build out is going to look like all this week. So our sprints go in 4 to 6 weeks, and that's how fast we work. And it's really important for you guys to let us know what you think. So I'm going to go through a couple slides here, and that's not to negate from diving into the application and digging in for some of that good data. It's simply to kind of give the folks that are on today a little bit of a background if this is fairly new to you. If it's not, forgive me, hopefully in this really fast-paced coffee voice here, that caffeinated voice, I should say, you're getting a little bit more of maybe something I haven't said before. So what's in this thing called RPR Commercial? We pride ourselves on our demographic facts and stats. So we have both projections and actuals. So you'll note whether you're inside the website, in mobile, which is new, you have commercial capabilities in the mobile app now, and whether you are grabbing reports, you will see demographic facts and stats, both for today and projections 5 years out. Things like age in an area, income, some pretty interesting economic stats. You'll be able to see unemployment stats, etc. So you can pull that in our commercial trade area report. I say this all the time. It's really true on the commercial side of things. Off market is the new on market. While inventory sometimes is being held close to the chest on the commercial side, you have access to public records nationwide in this application. So it's your job as a practitioner to have a full understanding of your community, which I'm sure you do. And at any juncture, if you know that new development is taking place in an area, and maybe you want to reach out and communicate with some of those folks that are holding on to buildings or properties and let them know it's a good time to maybe sell, you have access to public records. That includes the landowner or business owner information across the country. Esri Tapestry data. This is worth its weight in gold. Esri Tapestry data is expensive data. For anybody that's on today, if you've used CCIM site to do business, you'll note that consumer spending data is also sourced from Esri. We source it a little differently. It is a GIS software company that is based down the road in Redlands, California, from where I am. Companies like Nike, Cirque du Soleil place their tents in areas based on the type of data that we pull in from Esri. Some other government agencies use Esri data. So point being, it's really good data, consumer spending habits, who people are, what they do for a living, where they live, what they buy, all sorts of great stuff like that. Big question I get all the time: where do you get the active commercial listings? So in other words, the on-market data that is commercial coming into the system. And that's, we license data through MLSs and CIEs. So it looks like we're troubleshooting a little something real quick. So I just got a text from Amy. I'm going to pause for a minute. Amy, if you can let me know when I should kick this off again, that'd be great.
I did not send you a text.
Okay, it looks like I'm getting texts in late then. Never mind. All right, let's get that rocking and rolling. Thank you. So we get the data in from CIEs and MLSs. CIEs are regional commercial information exchanges, and then obviously the folks in the room and on the other end of the call know about the MLS side of things. Business points of interest. POIs. Anywhere you see our maps within the system, you are going to notice that there is a little icon in the top right-hand corner that allows you to select POIs, points of interest, and basically look at any business you want in the community. And it'll tell you things like what industry it is, how many employees they have, the year that the business started, the square footage, as well as some other facts and stats about that particular business. Again, that will populate on the map and we'll show you that. And then last but not least, we, in March of this year, did an integration with a company called Valuate. Anywhere in the system that you are looking at a property record, you will see in an investor software tab right next to that. That allows you to go into a spreadsheet and look at things like cash flow and some other really important data to basically secure if it's the right type of property to invest in. So we'll show you a little bit more about that in a second. This is where I tell you what's cool about the data. I think I kind of did a little bit already, but recently I was presenting various universities. In this case, it was with the University of Alabama, their commercial real estate students. I love this slide. I keep pulling it in. This is some of the business journals that I grabbed from the students and asked them where they get their data, what they're doing with this data. And there's a whole series of real estate related articles in the Birmingham Business Journal. And you'll note within there that the researcher that pulled these together was using Esri data, really expensive data, by the way, that you have access to, no additional charge as a realtor benefit. I love this slide as well because it's really cool how the government affairs director within the Chattanooga market was using the same data that you have access to in our commercial trade area report. In fact, he used it very early on when we were doing some beta testing with the data. And long and short of it, he was able, with his economic development authority and some of the other folks within the community, to secure companies like Volkswagen and Amazon to their market, which obviously equates to economic stimulus. I don't do a presentation without this gal. She is a dear friend of mine, which is why I brought her in to help us test and build RPR many moons ago, which is really not many moons. It's really been up and running since officially 2013, unofficially in beta test in 2012. Dina Zimmerman is one of the biggest, baddest, meanest, most productive tenant reps in the Chicagoland area. I joke about this every time. She looks like a 6'2" version of the singer Pink. She is also really important to this initiative because she has had successes. She has made money validating her deals in the Chicagoland area with national clients using those same data that I have been kind of raving about, if you will. So where do you go when we get off the webinar today? You certainly always can check in with your TAR folks. We're always dialed in with TAR. They're really supportive of the initiative and making sure that you have access to this realtor benefit. We also house a lot of different trainings, some real short ones, 20 minutes in length that kind of focus on specific features within the application. You can go ahead and get that. If you have a phone by you and you want to screen capture it real quick, it's blog.narrpr.com. We can also send a link, follow up with TAR, probably on a communication that can send this out as well. As I mentioned, 20 to 25 webinars that go real specific into some of the features you'll see here. And what's new today, if we have time, I'm going to plug in my phone and stream that so you can see how your mobile app supports website. I'd highly suggest, if you have not downloaded the RPR app, that you go into the store and you get it. It's a really great piece for grabbing data quickly when you're on the road. The commercial trade area report you can grab in seconds and shoot that off to a client to validate market statistics. You also can see all the off-market data. It knows where you are in an area, so you can grab any property information, if you will, and if you want to override, you can look in other areas. Again, all using your phone. If you already have the RPR app and you use it on the residential side, you do not need to download another app. You simply go in and you can see in your settings that you can switch back and forth between commercial and residential. So it's time to dive in. Amy, I'm going to see, are there any pressing questions before we go into the application? Doesn't sound like there is. So we're going to go ahead and dive in. Hopefully everybody can see my screen.
Emily, sorry, I misclicked. Somebody says, can you provide more information on the CIEs? Who is it specifically that provides the data?
Sure. So we have a company that we have partnered with, for lack of another word, Catalyst, and they are a provider of local and or regional CIEs, in some cases statewide CIEs. Louisiana has a statewide CIE, as does Mississippi. And we get a feed from each of those, no different than we do on the MLS side, and we aggregate that into our system. So any subscriber of that commercial information exchange has access to linking from their CIE into these data sets that we have within RPR. In your state, South Texas, STCAR has licensed data with us, and that is through Catalyst. We are also, for the folks that are Xceligent users, it's a little bit different business model, as they are a national platform, and we are working with them on their commercial search, which is their national platform, to do a deep link that would allow you to go from commercial search into RPR. As far as the CIEs in your state of Texas that are live right now, it's STCAR. And the MLSs, any of you that are using, as an example, in the Austin market, if you're using Actress, then you will note any commercial listings that are within the MLS are going to feed over to this side of the application. So whether it's an MLS or a CIE, hopefully that helps a little bit. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to dive into the application. The easiest way to drive the system is to note that there are 3 core functions. You have search, analysis, and mapping. And honestly, it's just the way I look at it is it's the way that your mind thinks, it's the way that you do business. So you can start with any of these buttons at any juncture to put that commercial package together. I'm going to drive it where I start with search and kind of move my way over to these buttons. But again, just understand that once you see some of the features, you may completely drive the system separate of what I'm teaching you today. So for the folks that might be on that do a little bit of residential business in addition to commercial, or a lot of residential and a little commercial, whatever the case may be, when you log into the system, you have one login and one password for website. You have one login and one password, the same for your mobile application. Both systems allow you to toggle between residential and commercial. So when I log in and I see the red screen, I know that I'm in the commercial side of the application. That's no different than the mobile side. If I log in and I see blue, I'm on the residential side. So at the top, you'll have a welcome and it'll have your name. Next to that, if it says commercial, click on it and you'll be over on the red side of the application, which is commercial. If you want to be back on the blue side of the application, you'll note that it says residential. Before diving in real quick, I would love to let you know that, hate this cliche, but it's so true. Proof is in the pudding. You'll note that we do some pretty interesting user stories. So at any point, if you want to know how these folks around the country, your peers, are using the data to get some big wins, to make some money, You've got some of those that you can watch those videos right there. And then if you need help figuring out how to go back to something, if you're like, oh, I really want to get into the POIs, the business points of interest on the map. What did that over-caffeinated girl say to do? I can't remember. Go ahead and either click on this live chat or call our call center. We have an 800 number that you'll note throughout the application. Our folks are a part of our team. Our call center operates in Omaha, Nebraska. We have recently brought that in-house. So everybody is a part of the RPR team. They are not working on any other service or product besides what we put out there. And they are efficient on all of our product deliveries. So if you have questions, they'll be able to help you. You can call at 2 o'clock in the morning if you're up and you can't sleep and you're trying to get stuff done for a deal. So we're here to help. So let's go ahead and we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna click on search. And when I go into search, the best thing I can point out here is I'm trying to look at inventory, or maybe I'm looking at off-market data. Remember that you have the ability to do it here too. The most important button that I can suggest is right here, lit up where my arrow is. It says all properties. This allows you to search anywhere in the country and you can see the public records data. Let's say on the phone that you folks on the other end of the webinar are using CoStar or LoopNet. That's a company, a commercial company that you are using to list and pull analytics, and you're spending a lot of money on it. Let's say that you know within some of your searches in these other sites that you know, there's not a lot of information on this property. It says it's listed, but it looks like the broker's withholding some of the fields or whatever. Grab that address and plug it in here, and you can get whatever's been recorded via public records. You can get, where applicable, you can get plat maps, you can get tax information, mortgage information, legal description, owner information, etc. At the top here, only listings, that allows you to search for on-market data, that along with the lease button there. So you must be a subscriber to the MLS or the CIE that we have licensed data with. These MLSs and CIEs, for the most part, do not share data, so you must be a paid subscriber to see the actives outside of your market. So the all property button allows you folks in Texas, if you want, to check out what properties look like here in Irvine, California, where I'm sitting. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you what it looks like here to see an on-market property, because I'm also going to show you how we layer on the public records data too, so you can see both the public records data as well as the listing data. I have some real specific criteria for my search for inventory. I can see I've got all the usual suspects, the fields that I can look through here. If I just really want a basic search of inventory in an area because I'm trying to get a grasp on opportunities for investors, I can also just go back to my basic search, which allows me to see some of the property types. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to show you real quick so I can show you how we can fine-tune the search. We're going to go into the Round Rock area because I happen to know that there's a lot of growth there, a lot of that expansion outside of Austin. Folks are wanting to have you know, move a little bit outside of the city in some cases and build some of the sense of community. I know Dell's there. I know that it might be a great opportunity to maybe invest in some mixed-use properties, some apartments that have retail opportunities, etc. So we go ahead and we conduct our search, and yes, I did mean this. And we go ahead.
It's 2 words, Round Rock.
She put Round Rock.
And I might have just had a typing error. Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right. And we're gonna go ahead and head on into the application. So I'm gonna see real quickly that I get a list of search results based on whatever criteria I put in. I'm being very general right here, as you can see. On the side, what I do see though is that I have the opportunity to fine tune my search based on some of the criteria that we saw on the previous screen. I see the list results. I can see a basic, you know, example of what inventory looks like. At any juncture before diving in, I can go to my bigger version of the map and see some ways to customize it with some of the tools I have at the top here. I can also change geographical boundaries and all sorts of good stuff. We're going to get to maps in just a second. I'm going to go ahead from here and click on a property so you can see. This one's pending, but this also, because I didn't filter, I could see in my overall search, clicking that all property button, I can see off market, I could see pending, I could see recently sold, and I can also see those that are on market. So here we go. We can go ahead and see with this particular opportunity, you know, that it's the details that are coming in from the agent or broker. I get a real quick look at what this particular area is, the opportunity that might benefit here, multifamily, which is kind of the example we were talking about before we got into here. So I see that opportunity. I can see who owns this particular property. When I get below, I can see property facts. So I see what's been recorded via public records. I also see what's been recorded that's coming in from the, in this case, the MLS. This is coming in from Actress. And I do see some blanks here, and some of it is because there's no need to fill it in because this is a piece of land. But let's say that I want to put in some criteria simply for my presentation. I can customize this property report, and it's only applicable to my report. Nobody else using the system will see that. If I know that it's you know, relatively close to an airport, and that's important. If I wanted to add my own bit of information, I could. Again, saving it here, and it would add it to this particular column and only applicable to your report. If I were looking at an industrial property and it was important to me that there were loading docks, I could put absolute information in there about the loading docks. So I get below here, and I have the opportunity to see some things like price change history, listing details, and that sort of thing. This is where I'd like to point out that we know that your business advisors to your client, and this is also been a really strong point from our testing that we've done amongst users or realtors across the country. You need to be fully transparent where you're getting data from. You are the expert. This is validating data. So when you pull any of the reports together, you will know very clearly where the data sources are, and we do aggregate data from a lot of different sources. In this case, when we're talking about specific listing details for on-market data, you're noting that it's coming from the MLS. But when we get down into things like the legal description or tax information, you're going to note that we're pulling it in from public records. Over here, if I wanted to, neighboring to this particular property section, if I wanted to see a little bit more about the lay of the land as far as the trade area, what that means is I can take a look very quickly at this chart, and I can see very quickly about the population change. I can see a little bit more about the median age if I'm working with a particular client and it's important. Let's say in this case, if I'm going to work with a developer to build a mixed-use multifamily campus, if you will, I can note that right out of the gate, I see that the median age is 33. Chances are, prior to getting to this point, you will have already run this report to know that and dive in and go even further to find your inventory. And that's how you can go back and forth between our functionality. A little bit more about female-male breakdown, married-unmarried stats, household size, household income, average disposable income. At this juncture, if I want to dive in before I grab this information and creating the report, I could grab everything you see here and any customization I've done to it. I can also go ahead and click more about this data and dive even deeper into understanding that and grabbing this in a report. We're going to go ahead and do that in a second. The other area that I wanted to show you is when we make this bigger, this map, let's say, so I think this property fits my client's criteria. I want to see some layers below that. Let's say I do want to know more about not the family size, but let's say that I've done my analysis and I know the rents, and we, according to the client that's investing in this, wants to have those that are highly educated versus those that aren't. I can go ahead and start to see some of those layers there. I can change the geography. I can also change some of these boundaries up here as well. Let's say that I also want to take a look at disposable income to understand, if I'm going to build this community, And let's say I add that I have the ability to do a mixed-use property with some retail space. I can go ahead and start to look a little bit more at income. Let's say I want to see, and here's that POI button in the corner. I want to see some of the other businesses that are here, and I can see that some of them are groups, but if I want to go ahead and see some specifics like, let's see, I want to know the grocery stores in the area, or I want to know a little bit more about the restaurants and bars. I can go ahead and I can hit on some of those. I can zoom in and out of my map, and I can select all the businesses in an area if I choose. And I can go ahead and see what these businesses look like. I can also go ahead and see a little bit more about particular areas that are a little bit distant away from the property, and I can do some additional inventory searching, as you see here in the pop-up. So let's go ahead and we are going to go to the next screen. Everything we did is in search. That's where you're going to go for your inventory. When I get to analysis, this is where I think RPR differs from maybe some of the other services you've been using, and this is also what we find as far as our testing is concerned. We recently ran a focus group, and this particular section of the application, by and large, is the preferred for the realtor benefits. So a lot of folks are, in other words, are coming here first. So you have the opportunity to look at where are the right people for a business, what's the best location for a business, and what's the best business for a location. So what this top guy allows you to do is to get really specific with some interesting criteria for your client. So let's go to that example of we are looking at that mixed use, multifamily kind of campus, if you will. And let's say from here, I want to do, before I go back to the inventory, before I go back to the location, I want to go ahead and get some more information. I want to get a really rich package together, maybe to secure the deal with the developer. So if I go ahead, I put in the area that I want, I can go ahead and select some attributes. So you get one drop down. The idea of this is to examine a very large geography and then kind of whittle it down into the small, more targeted site selection areas based on very specific criteria. So you get a drop down that says who they are, what they do, where they live, what they buy, and then some pretty cool facts and stats. So you go who they are, and on this, let's say we want to look at age. Our client says, you know, most of our areas that we look at, the folks are in the 20s and 30s as far as those that are going to be paying rent. So you've got a lot of different ways to even break down age. In this case, I can hover over the question marks and see that the people are between the ages of 20 and 39. We'll go ahead and do that. Let's go to the next. I'm going to stay within the drop down who they are, but we see the first drop down who they are, what they do, where they live, what they buy, and some pretty cool facts and stats. We can go who they are, and we definitely want to look at income. So I see things like household size, income, net worth, personal finance, marital status, education, race, age, gender, consumer segmentation. Let me preface at this point, this is for commercial transactions. So for the folks that are on that dabble in both sides of the fence as far as real estate, these reports would be in conflict with Fair Housing Act. You cannot pull these trade area reports for residential transactions. These are absolutely for a commercial transaction. So in this case, let's go ahead and we are going to select income. And again, we slice and dice it in a lot of different ways. This is that really rich Esri data that you have access to. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at those in the 35 to 50 range. Again, these are probably bits of information we'd have secured from our client. And then let's go ahead back to who they are. And I guarantee you'll spend a lot of time in this particular section and education. The client says those that are renting from us and those that are potentially shopping when we pull in the different shops are those with bachelor's degrees at the very least. And then obviously facts and stats, probably an area that you'll spend much time in. It gives you some trends. while you can generate one of these reports and see some of the actuals and projections in population stats or income, or we also pull housing stats because it's important to know that as well as you're looking at the area from a business perspective. Let's say in this case, we want to make sure we're projecting growth. So we look at those trends that are projecting growth for the next 5 years or so. So we run our analysis and we will get a map. We love our maps within RPR. We will get a map that's shaded with purple. Those areas are telling us about site selection based on the criteria that my client is giving me. In this case, I see the criteria over to the left. If I need to edit that a little bit, I can. You cannot exceed 5 attributes, as that's how the system computes. You can go back and do additional reports, but that's where you cap off is at 5 to be able to generate this so quickly, because there's a lot of different data thinking and working on the back side of this. But as you can see, you can customize some of that if you need to remove the attributes, or the client comes back and says, you know, I don't know that I really was that concerned about the income bracket because I think that I'm hitting it out of the park with those in their 20s and 30s, bachelor's degrees, that sort of thing. Whatever the case may be, you know, I'm fetching here a little bit, but just so you can see, you can really be super customizable for your client as far as site selection. You can also see that you can slice and dice this in different geographies. Let's say we want to get really tight into a census block. We can go ahead and update that, and it's going to change our results a little bit. And then you get a list. You're looking here at each of these little compact census blocks, if you will, and I can go ahead and see that where the criteria ranks. I can start looking for my inventory from here. I can go back and look at some properties, or this is the part where I'm going to take you to look at some of that consumer spending data matched with the demographic facts and stats. So if I wanted all of this in a list format, so my client can see the work that I've done to note that maybe if I end up saying this is the best site selection that's carved out on the map, I can go ahead and grab this, everything I see right here in this list format, by clicking on this button, get a trade area analysis. So not only can you share, this is how we've come to the decision based on the rankings and your criteria, and here are the other areas, how they're comparing. You can also, after the fact, depending on what the business placement is, we have seen successes in the folks that have placed a retail business, and they have handed them this report and thereafter said, hey, by the way, we placed you right here on this site because obviously it met your criteria. But look at this huge ring around the area. This is the area where you should be targeting marketing efforts. So, you know, a lovely story that goes after site selection and that continued valued partnership between you and the potential client. So we're going to go ahead and click View Trade Area Details. And when we get to this section, we're going to see, and remember, we're in a really small targeted area, a census block. I can still see to the right the neighboring areas and how they compared, even when I'm looking at this very targeted specific area for potential site selection. I can take a look at stats here. Remember, we saw on the search page when we were looking at the specific property, we had a small column that allowed us to take a look at these stats. When we click into the trade area, we get a much greater view. I think this is really wonderful for the practitioner, you to take a look at how the stats are coming through for the criteria for your client. But I always suggest when you are talking to your client that you generate the report and hand them that. And here's why. When you get that report, you are going to see that within here, and here's your reporting page where you can generate the reports. I've generated the report, and here's why I want to show you why it's a little bit better than the snapshot you see within website. You will note that it's going to be more specific. You'd see this page on website. It'll give you the top segmentation, meaning the top Esri tapestry, that gives you information on how many, and it gives you information how many folks fall within that early adulthood category, that have bachelor's degrees in that really tight site selected area. those with the incomes that meet the criteria, as well as projected growth for the next 5 years or so. You get a quick snapshot when you're in the website, and on your first page of your report, as you're seeing here, that tell you about that segment, that tell you that their average household size is about 2 people. It tells you that their median age is 32. It tells you more about the net worth, tells you about that they have college degrees, that, you know, a little bit more about their preferred activities. So if you were looking at building around this multifamily campus and looking at other business to bring to the area, that they eat at fast food places, they like family restaurants, they go to bars, tells you a little bit more about the media, what they read, what they view, on down to that they buy brand new cars. What you see in the report that you do not see when you're in website is it gives you a really clear picture to explain what this tapestry means. So you have this segment that's called Bright Professionals, and you can see here that within the Bright Professionals section, it's going to tell you a lot more about these folks, and it's saying that they like to be in the urban outskirts of a metropolitan area. Well, ding, 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 there's Round Rock. And it tells you a little bit more about, you know, their living, that the majority of them are interested in multi-unit buildings. They want still that urbanization, but they don't want to be right in the heart of the city. It tells you more about their levels of engagement within their jobs, tells you about their technology use, tells you more about their education. And then it comes over into a market profile, and it tells you a lot about what they're spending their money on, what they're reading, and what their leisurely activities are. So when you're talking about investing in an area and looking at areas that are likely to have growth in the next 5 years, this is a really good piece of information to keep your book of business within that community. It's also really excellent in bringing new business into an area. This is the stuff that we get a lot of excellent feedback on. As I mentioned, within website, you see actuals. You generate this report and you are going to see projections. We're about to do a refresh of this data, so you can see the projections even further out than 2020 here in the very near future. But this is so you can see, okay, cool, I can place my particular business or create that multifamily campus today, and I'm going to see that the population is going to continue to grow. But let's see, am I going to continue to see that the young people are going to come in? So I can go down and I can look at age comparison. So I see that my target of those in their 30s are going to be a steady increase. Those in their 20s, it looks like it's kind of scaling back a little bit. So, but that's okay, because in talking to my client, the 30s and maybe into the 40s might be my targeting. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, based on your relationship with your client. You can see marital status. You can come down here and see some income stats, which obviously another biggie here. You would want to make sure that there is a projection of growth in the next several years, and we're seeing it. So that's a really good visual for the client. You can take a look at the unemployment rate. You can also see what people do in an area. There's a lot of really interesting information to have a full picture of a community. So a lot of folks within just that small area, and if you had a bigger area, if you put in your zip code or you put in the city, you're going to see that this report will reflect on the size of the geography, obviously. So you can take a look just within that targeted census block, what people do for a living. On down to the education. This is that validating bit that tells you about the percentage of the market that are educated, those with their bachelor's degrees. On down to home values. And then here you go, the last page is your best business report, and it tells you where there are opportunities. So when we're talking about businesses to recruit, or if you're working with the Economic Development Authority in the area or the Chamber of Commerce, you can take a look at just this report if you wanted and say, all right, I'd love to work with you as your market expert, and here's the type of businesses we should be attracting to this particular area. So all of this is in the commercial trade area report. This package alone paired with your property report is worth its weight in gold. Okay, so Market analysis. This is pretty much last but not least here on website. This is the most robust, complicated, and it's not complicated to run, but it is the one that pulls the most detailed information together within this RPR commercial. The next, what's the best location for a business? Let's say in the same area that we wanted to, we were working with a national grocery store that's looking to place in the area. So we can select the type of business. If we have a particular address in mind, we can use drive time and see that there's different intervals there, or radius. In this case, to keep it quick, we're going to do a general geography. And what it'll do, we love our maps, as I mentioned. You're going to see a similar mapping here that's going to give you those deeply shaded areas in purple. You've got the ability to continue to change up the geography if you want to go bigger or smaller. You can do some customization if you wanted to do a really targeted area and start your analysis there. You'll notice these tools throughout our systems. Or you can go ahead and see within this area the census blocks that make the most sense for starting to dive deeper into the analytics to look for the placement of a grocery store. Since we already looked at the reports, we don't need to do that. I'm going to go back to market analysis. You've got 3 types in that middle button. The last, what's the best business for location? We have actually talked about this, so this should come as no surprise. Let's say if I want to do a specific zip code maybe here, I can. And what it does is it comes back and it tells me what's overserved and what's underserved. You also get that in the report. That's the last page we saw when we were looking at the really targeted census blocks. If we were looking at a bigger geography like a zip, we can see overall where there's opportunities. This is really used for land developers. We see them really hungry for this. And then for those spaces that are maybe sitting because you can't quite figure out the right type of business to attract. So that is a really good quick opportunity there. It's also really well received by the economic development authorities. So that, in a nutshell, between searching for inventory and looking at analytics, that's the bread and butter of RPR Commercial. Maps, you've seen these bad boys throughout. At any juncture, if you want to start with maps and kind of go in the opposite direction, you can by putting in your area. You can go ahead and do that. You're going to see the demographic spending indicators and some residential indicators. If you want to look at flood zones, those would be under there. If you wanted to look at where your coffee drinkers are versus your tea drinkers, there's various ways to look at spending data too. Let's say if you were representing a coffee shop, it'll allow you to see where people are spending more money on coffee versus tea, beef versus chicken, whatever the case may be. Again, Esri is a source of data for us that allows us to really hone in on some interesting specific stats that probably the potential clients or your current clients have not been privy to this kind of detail. So let's go ahead and, Amy, I'm going to go ahead and see if there are any questions at this time. If they're not, then I can plug in mobile and just kind of very quickly show the folks how it parallels the website.
Okay, I don't have any questions showing.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead real quick, and this is going to take a second. You can see that I'm super loyal to my alma mater, Go Blue.
One of members here has a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to know how to find out the owner of the property.
Hang on a second. Rita, there we go. Can you turn your, okay, that's better. Go ahead.
She wants to know how to find the owner of a property.
Commercial property.
If the property has never been listed.
Good question. So I'm actually, I can show you that here, and then I'm going to show it to you in mobile. So when you sign in, here's your home page. If you go to search, you have your property that you have in mind. You make sure that you put all property. This button becomes very important to you.
Okay.
All property. Now on mobile, let me show you how that works. I'm going to plug in Let's go here. I just have to reflect real quick on here. And it'll just take me a minute to get this on. And I do not want my big mugshot there. I'm going to give you my iPhone. And so you should be seeing my chaotic phone. And Facebook is blowing up right now, guys. So we're going to go ahead and go into the app. That's what when you go to the store, that's what the app's going to look like. And you can go ahead. It's going to take a minute to get on there just because of the, I think it's my connectivity up here. So I am in mobile, and I can go ahead if I wanted to and go in any of these areas to check things out. If I wanted to put in an address, no different than I just did, or I pointed out to you, you can go ahead and put it in your mobile app. If I just wanted to select an area, I can see some of the demographics. So in the area, when you're using mobile, you can be just outside right now, and I'm overriding it, my system, because I'm in California, obviously, and I can go ahead and click on any off-market property. And within the off-market, it's gonna go ahead and populate some of the stats. Again, mine's a little bit slow because I'm reflecting onto the computer, but I can go ahead and take a look at various properties, both residential and commercial, and it doesn't need to be on market. And here you can see owner facts right here. That is through every, on both sides of the application, we pull in public records, residential and commercial, and you can go ahead and see that information.
Can we go on the desktop, because I usually have problem. So if we give you the address, can you put the address and see who the owner is?
Yeah, do you have a specific address?
Yes.
Okay.
6440
6440.
West Belfort.
Spell that, please.
West, W-E-S-T, Belfort, B-E-L-F-O-R-T.
2 L's.
Is that right?
B-E-L-L-F-O-R-T.
And then what's the city?
Houston, Texas. You want your owner name, that's what you want.
No, non-listed ones.
No, it's not that one.
It's this one.
No, it's 6440, so it's
not there.
Alrighty. Is there a potential other address that could be?
no.
That's the problem I always face. When I look at the shopping center and I put the address, it doesn't show up if it's never been listed.
It should, and what the problem is likely the problem is the way it's been recorded in the public records data. We're aggregating it in, and if there's even the slightest change in the address, or that there's a lot of different things that can happen. Do me a favor, I'm going to put my email address up there because I actually want to research what's happening, and chances are it's an issue on the public records side. You should be able to pull with just putting an address in there. If you are standing outside of that building and you use mobile, it should pop up automatically.
Okay. I'll check it and I'll let you know through email.
Thank you.
Is there a way to watch this? If you use Google, it comes up.
The
It came up in Google.
homeowner, the owner's name,
Oh.
not the address. No, owner's name would not show up in Google.
Could it be they purposely don't want you to know, so you don't contact them?
Yeah, a lot of times.
No, there's a public record.
It's a public record. You should have it.
So Emily, what you're saying is that if something as simple as instead of West being spelled out versus just the W, period, or however maybe Belford is misspelled in the public records with one L instead of two L's, something like that.
I have seen it all. It depends on the assessor's office. And so that's why I'm always asking specifically. And then I've also noted that, and this is more or less on the on-market side, a practitioner will say, because the showings may be a little bit better if the corner address is, you know, such and such street versus the other street, that it neighbors. We've seen, you know, the data coming in from an MLS or CIE that has a slightly different take on what the address is versus what's been reported via public records. So all assessors' offices are different. Some markets are better than others. The one area that we really highly request is that if there isn't even the slightest of issues with getting the data back that you need based on the off-market search, let us know immediately, because we have a person on our team that goes straight in and works with the assessor's office to make sure we're getting the right data, or that there are corrections made to the data.
Emily, while we're on the topic of owners, somebody asks, what information about the owner do you get when that works the way you want it to?
So what we get, and I'm going to go back to this area here. This is my mobile app. So you're going to see the owner name, the LLC, and then you're going to get the address. I've been working with our team on bringing in another data set that will better support this. So you would get, if there's a property manager, you would get that information and a phone number. We don't have that yet. You have just the address.
When would we get those information? In the very near future?
We're hopeful. It's I can't give you an exact date because we're still looking at the source of the data. In fact, that was a meeting I had last week.
Thank you.
And in these situations too, guys, this is where I started out the session saying this, and I'll probably say this a couple more times before we you know, depart today. We really, if instead of, if there's something that you're not able to do, like if the public recordings isn't what it should be, please tell us, because that allows us to absolutely make that change. I already changed a section of it in West Virginia this week. So that it's really important to tell us that. And as far as functionality in the system, you know, as an example, one thing our system does well is it spits back business opportunities. And there's my Tom Brady report. It spits back opportunities that allow you to know, okay, here in this particular shopping mall, it might benefit us to, let me unplug that. It might benefit us to have a 7-Eleven. It doesn't specifically say 7-Eleven, it's going to say convenience store. So in the near future, we're also looking at how we get potential tenant information in there as well. And so we need more support on what types of things really benefit you guys in having in the system.
Okay, Emily, I'm gonna interrupt to say we're looking at 10:59 by my time, so we probably should start wrapping up a little bit.
Okay. Are there any additional questions that you're seeing, Amy, that
Yes.
are pressing?
I am. I have one here that says, he says, I may have missed this at the beginning, but when searching for properties under only listings, does it pull from CoStar/LoopNet family or from Xceligent or only MLS services?
Great question. So we are not partnered with CoStar and LoopNet. It's not for lack of trying. This is a realtor benefit for you guys. So we don't charge, obviously. It's incorporated in your realtor dues since it's NAR owned. We would cut into their profit margin. So we do not get, because that means they'd want to create a product that you would buy. So we don't do that with CoStar or LoopNet. We are working with Xceligent right now to do a deep link from their commercial search. We will not get their data into our system. What will happen is if you are a subscriber to their product, you will link from their system and have access to the analytics that I showed today. It's kind of a reverse, if you will.
Okay, and someone asks, can you do a wildcard search that would bring up any close matches?
I don't totally know what that means.
Me either.
So
And can you type in a little more detail about that? And I'm going to go to the chat box and then we'll come back. I have some people who are giving some advice on name and businesses that you guys had questions about in the office. You can Google the name of a business and most time find the manager and phone number. Consider interface with Wikicorp to find more info on LLC, etc. So again, I'm not sure what those things mean, but someone suggests it. And hoping for, is that my internet connection is unstable or yours?
I can still see
All right,
everybody.
does anybody else have any questions?
Like Wikipedia.
Rita, any of your group have some more questions?
Any questions? Yeah. No, thank you so much. That was-
Okay. Anyone else? Last call before, oh, okay, here's Jed. Wildcard search example, instead of 2418, could you search for 241 asterisk if unsure of address?
You can plug in general addresses, yes.
So you could just do like a street name?
You could put in a street name and it's going to give you a very long laundry list of results. You would have to whittle down. I usually, if you're not sure of an area, I always suggest going into the map and going into any of the areas that you see the mapping situation here. And I personally, and I've heard this from different practitioners, some tools that are here because that allow you to pinpoint roughly in the right area. And if you're talking wild card, you can collect any of the property information that's within whatever you draw, whether it's a polygon radius or what have you.
Someone is asking if you can use a range for addresses like 200 to 300 Main.
Not yet. We do have a ticket in our system to do some different searches. The one area that I did not mention that I would like to mention now is we have also done keyword searches. So when you go into some of the fields, you'll notice, let's see, within a property details field that you'll see keyword, and if our system picks it up, it'll search based on what that keyword is.
Do you have an example? Which means
Yeah. Yeah, she's doing that.
Go ahead. We'll go back to property results, actually. And while I'm doing this, if there's any other questions, in the essence of time, happy to answer those too.
Someone asks if a keyword, a building name would function as a keyword.
It might. It depends on if it's in the description via public record data or the on-market data. So in other words, it needs to be listed somewhere within the property details. So anywhere within here, in other words, or any of the information that you see in here when you search by keyword.
Can the city be also used as a keyword? Like, for example, we use a city name.
You could use a city as a keyword, but I wouldn't do that. I would just plug that into the field.
A specific area.
Is that because you would get too many hits? First?
I just don't think it's necessary. I think that if you're going into, if I understand what the purpose is, if you're going into the search, you would automatically, it's easier just to go in and put it in right there where the search allows you to do it.
I have a question here, and I don't know that I understand this question. It says, can we access RPR from Tempo or as a separate website?
I'm afraid I don't know what Tempo is. Is Tempo a CRM?
Karen, can you give us a little more information, please?
Tempo is a residential software. You can do that. They're two different.
Okay.
Rita seems to think not. It's a residential search software, you said, Rita?
In Houston.
In Houston, in the Houston.
Ah, okay.
Realtors.
So it's particular to Houston?
That's right.
Ah, okay. All right. Does anybody else have any questions?
Are there plans in the future? I mean, I love the fact that this is such a robust site and it's almost rivals CoStar without having to pay for it. But are there going to be in the future some, like a paid version to get even more stuff so that RPR starts generating money for itself type of deal? I'm not suggesting this, but I'm just asking, is there going to be a deal like
We call this core platform. There will not be subscription fees. This has been the mission since concept a while back. Will RPR make money in other areas potentially? Quite possibly, but not for charging for this.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Emily.
I'm gonna, you guys, go ahead.
Emily, I have a question.
Yes.
Emily, on the mobile, it says access to RPR and MLS-CIE sources, right? So on the desktop, you have both the options also on the desktop, or is it only for the mobile app?
So what it means there is what to your profile. So if you are a member of your MLS, if you use the HAR.com, if you are, or your MLS, or we've not licensed data with Comgate yet. That's something we're working with Sam in the Houston market on.
No, I mean to say on your desktop, when you go to RPR, do you have these two options or it's automatically there?
It's probably easier if I just plug this in and show you. You have the ability to search in the area. I don't know that I understand what you're asking about the.
On the mobile app, I see there is a thing called access to RPR, and there is MLS-CIE sources on the mobile app.
Yes.
In the settings.
In the settings on the commercial side. Now, when you go to the desktop, do you have these two options, or it's automatically on both the options? On the desktop settings.
On the desktop. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So in your profile, yes, you have access to putting in your MLS or your CIE information. And both systems talk, so it is exactly the same.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay. Oh boy, this is always what happens at the very end. All right, we're gonna have to wrap this up, guys. I've already kept you guys over for about 10 minutes. I have one more question and then we're gonna wrap up. If a commercial property is listed off market in the RPR app, does that mean it is for sale by owner?
If it is listed off market in the RPR app, I don't know. There's no broker or agent load to RPR, so that is not a feature that you would be able to conduct on RPR Commercial.
Okay. All right. Okay, everybody. We are going to wrap it up. I think everybody's got Emily's email address, and I will give you mine as well, so you can always shoot me some questions. Emily, thank you so much. That is a flabbergasting amount of information.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Yes.
And I appreciate dealing with me and my coffee.
Well, and it's funny because you look for coffee drinkers and I'm a tea drinker, so it's good that you have that feature because obviously it means something. We really appreciate you coming in. So everybody who is still on, I want to remind you that we have recorded this. The whole video will be available for you to watch. So if you missed any parts or you wanted to write down anything that was up on the screen, you'll be able to watch it on YouTube and write all that down. You can also shoot me an email and ask me any questions. If I don't know the answers, I will find them out for you. My email is agamber@texasrealtors.com. That's AGAMBER. at texasrealtors.com. Our next webinar is going to be on October 18th at 10 a.m. and the subject will be service and emotional support animals. That's going to be taught by Charles Kramer. He is a real estate attorney from the law firm of Hunter and Kramer in Plano, Texas. We did this CE at conference this year and it was a big hit, so we're going to bring it to you guys via webinar. That is available for CE credit, and the registration link is on the commercial webinar page of the TR website. If you want to register to provide this webinar for CE, like Rita and her group have done here, please contact John Hauser in our professional development department here at TAR, and he'll get you hooked up. Emily, you're going to have to give me back control.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for showing up and hanging out with us, and thanks very much. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon, Emily. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Well, we need to sign. So
Let me see what instructions I'm getting. So, Emily, I see you.
I'm trying to get rid of this. Oh, guys, I just don't want to leave.